Hello and welcome to the Broad Street Hockey Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gilbert. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Joe DeMarini. Joe, how we doing here on this Monday?
Fucking awesome. I
No,
mean, I'm still riding the high from Saturday. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no case of the Mondays here. Saturday's game, we'll get into it. Shout out Jacob Russell, did a great solo post game there, like 25 minutes. Go back and listen to that if you haven't already. We had a nice happy hour with Steve and Quiggs, and Thomas was on there for a bit on Friday, talking some big picture stuff. So it wasn't just short-term stuff. Great picture. If you haven't checked that out, go back and listen. Plenty of content there for you. But of course, we got to get right into it. Before that, make sure you check out Bet Online. It continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, to NHL and UFC. Bet Online is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns to three-pointers and hat tricks, Bet Online has you covered on every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online, the game starts here. I named this podcast right now, Hate Brings People Together, because that is truly what this weekend was about. Like that's what brings people together. It's hating on people, shit talking, and we truly saw that on Saturday night in Philadelphia.
I am so bummed I just didn't bite the bullet and buy a ticket to that game. It looked so fun. You were there, right?
It was incredible. I kept checking ticket prices, and like a pair popped up lower level behind the net for the same price as like upper level tickets are going from. Like, all right, let's get this. This is one of the Flyers fans have had this game circled on the calendar since the schedule came out. You got to be there in the atmosphere, and it was truly incredible. From like I wasn't there for the starting lineups, but of course I didn't start Cutter anyway. But from puck drop to we want Cutter to fuck you Cutter to Jamie's better to just everything going on and booing him every time he stepped on the ice. Like I was staring at, like, whenever a line change was happening, I was staring at the bench to see if Cutter was coming on, getting ready to boo. And he completely shrunk in the spotlight. He barely touched the puck on his first few shifts. I know he didn't really play too much in the third period. Wasn't engaged whatsoever, even when the Flyers tried to get him going. Konechny, of course, saying, "I will fight you. I'll fucking fight you." And then Laughton giving him a few bops there. But yeah, just a incredible win, incredible atmosphere. The complete opposite of the Stars game, because the Stars game from the get-go was like, all right, this is gonna suck, probably like a 5-1 loss. But this game, even before the Flyers scored, like it was icings and their Flyers controlled play, and it blew off from there.
I was very close to getting the score prediction right. I said it was going to be 6-1, and it ended up 6-0. So I nearly nailed that. My favorite moment was the scrum, and then Garnet Hathaway. You just see his hand come out from the scrum and grab Cutter Gauthier by the shoulder and just yoink him right into the thick of things. And I was like, yeah, that's why you got that contract extension. Yeah. Seeing Garnet Hathaway in a game with that kind of atmosphere, man, that was fun. I saw a lot of people saying that the vibe was similar to the Claude Giroux game, his final game with the Flyers against the Predators. Were you at that one too?
I was there with the Broad Street Hockey people. I don't think you were with Broad Street Hockey yet, but we had a whole like group of tickets, like lower level, like one of the last rows. We were all like behind the net there. But yeah, it's not a similar atmosphere, but like the loudest it's been since then, because that was like all about loving loving Giroux and like sending him off right, and this was welcoming Cutter here with a good Philadelphia welcome there.
It was so fun. I was sitting on the couch just cackling at every scrum afterwards, or after every whistle.
I'm assuming all the chants and stuff came through on the broadcast.
Oh yeah, it was fun to hear JJ try and be like, "Well, we can't really tell you what they're saying, but you can probably hear it on your televisions at home." Yeah. My favorite was the LA Times apparently said that fans were chanting "Thank you, Cutter,"
Thank you, Cutter, yeah.
Which is false. The Ducks Twitter stopped tweeting out the score after the third goal. What else?
I mean, the game was close for a while. It was 2-0 until the Tippett goal on the 2-on-1 from Konechny in the second period. Then third period, you had the Paling, the Michkov, and the Hathaway just to pour it on.
I mean, my biggest concern was that the Flyers were going to shit the bed, or excuse me, shit the beach.
Yeah.
Going into that game, but hey, they didn't embarrass themselves. They showed up and did what they needed to do, and everyone on that roster pretty much had a good game, except for one Joel Farabee, because he wasn't.
It's Joelver. It sounds like he's going to be benched on Monday night as well. This podcast is going to be going out till after that game. I saw Tortorella said just some guys banged up, so the lines aren't exact, but yeah.
Oh, Sealer looked down bad at the end of that Ducks game. So maybe we get Eric Johnson. I don't know.
I would hope if he's not going to go, they would bring up Andre. But I mean, Johnson is up here, I guess. That's
short on time.
Yeah. I guess it was feeling well enough after Saturday or yesterday. Woke up and felt fine. But I wrote for Broad Street Hockey in my about John Tortorella's comments. We'll get to that. But this was the Flyers' biggest shutout win since 6-0 against the Columbus Blue Jackets on March 5th, 2016. John Tortorella was a head coach of the Blue Jackets in that one.
I thought so. Yeah.
And Radko Gudas was the first star for the Flyers with 2 goals and 2 assists. So it's how the turns tables here.
4 points for Radko Gudas?
For Radko Gudas, yeah.
Jeez. How many points did he have on Saturday?
I mean, he had at least 12 penalty minutes.
Oh, yeah, because he messed around with Michkov, and Michkov gave it back to him. That was fun to see. And then Michkov goes out and scores a goal after the penalty, I think. I think it was after.
I don't remember. And a sweet celly from Michkov there. Getting off the schneid there. He needed one. I mean, I don't know if Konechny may have been doing a pass off the backboards there, because I don't know if he would have missed the net. I mean, four primary assists in that game for Konechny too. Just like that's showing what he can do.
Should have traded him, apparently.
Yeah,
should have traded him.
Yeah, and of course the Jamie Drysdale goal. I mean, a beautiful play to cut to the net, make a nice play to go 5-hole there on Gibson, and the Jamie's better chance just ringing throughout the arena was incredible. And you could tell that he loved it. Like during the game, after the game, he talked about it. He got the belt. They put the video out of that. Mm-hmm. So. Hopefully this is something that the Flyers can build on, especially Michkov and Drysdale.
Yeah, and Drysdale in particular, I think that. I hope that was a confidence boost for him. He's been playing very well since coming back from injury, but the points hadn't been there. Now he's got 2 power play points. One was that goal from Konechny, which was awesome, and then he got a secondary assist on Michkov's goal. So he's doing exactly what he needs to do. And the Flyers needed that. That was really the only opportunity they had to have a get right game in the next few weeks, because except for 2 opponents, they are all Eastern Conference teams. And, the East isn't great, but these are the same teams that they're vying for a playoff spot with. So they have more weight, I guess.
Yeah, big stretch of games here going into the Four Nations tournament. We'll get into that in a little bit, but just more on Saturday's game. John Tortorella's comments afterwards, people didn't love them. He was like, oh, I'm reading here. I wrote it up.
Who cares? Whatever.
No, we have to talk about it. He says,
I know.
He says, you know what? I hope you can play in front of a crowd like that about something meaningful, not that shit, that whatever you guys are talking about. I hope it means something to the organization as far as winning and losing. That's when I want to see a crowd like that. Not all this stuff you guys are talking about. I want it to be that we are a team to be reckoned with in a playoff series, not this shit. No. And he's right. He's not wrong. He's not wrong whatsoever. But at the same time, like, he could have added to that, like, okay, this hopefully can be a good stepping stone. This shows how good the fans can be, and like can show the young players like something to strive for. But this is very much, it's just John Tortorella being John Tortorella and being the head coach of a hockey team that knows he has the reigning Stanley Cup champions up next.
I mean, I tweet or skeeted. Oh, God, we got to come up with something better than that. But that, like, shitting on Cutter Gauthier or saying like that was a stepping, like, that's not his role. The players went out there and spoke with their game, and they absolutely just crushed the Ducks. TK, the spiritual leader of the team, during intermission said, "We're giving him a hard time, and it's good. We're playing good." I don't know if you saw the intermission interview after.
I did. I saw Thomas wrote that up on browserjockey.com, and then he posted it in there.
There you
It
go.
was like I don't know the kid personally. We're just giving him a hard time. Like, yeah.
And his loss,
His-
so TK speaking the words for the players. The entire team spoke with how they played. The organization, from the moment the schedule dropped, had been promoting this game as part of a rivalries package.
Yeah.
Which was wild because it was like, oh yeah, the Penguins, the Rangers, and the Anaheim Ducks. Sure, why not? So if Torts is like, well, the media's doing this, like, take a look at your own marketing department because they've been hyping this one up from the get-go. But no, it's not his role. It's not his role to shit on this kid. It's not his role to be that mouthpiece. I'm perfectly fine with him saying correctly, I hope the fans can get excited about something meaningful and not just shitting on some dumb kid.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. But yeah, Cutter Gauthier, I mean, he came out, and Kevin Kurds, I think, went down to the Class of 23 arena to talk to him on Friday. I think there was a exclusive he had there. So it goes, good get there by Kevin. And like saying it was Cutter Gauthier was like, oh, I just wish they knew the truth. Like, okay, tell the truth then. Tell us what's happening. Like, unless there's something nefarious or something going on, why can't you say what happened? You just, or at the very least say, you know what, it was a personal decision. Things went down. I don't want to talk about. That's that. Not like, oh, if only they knew the truth.
Yeah. Like, I guarantee you, this fan base, nobody hates the Flyers more than Flyers fans. If the Flyers front office actually fucked something up and screwed this kid over, I guarantee you, Cutter, 95+% of this fan base would have your back in criticizing this administration. Like, but if you don't tell us, we're just gonna think you're being a stuck-up kid. If you have, if they were in the wrong, if the Flyers were in the wrong, I guarantee you this fan base would have your back. Like, it took a while for Lindros, but it's the same thing. The Flyers really screwed him over. People were mad, but in retrospect, it's like, yeah, he kind of had a point.
Yeah, that's a different story, kind of more magnified. But yeah, Cutter, like, especially because it was likely Chuck Fletcher was like, all right, we're going to get you on the team. The Flyers fired him. The locker room wasn't great. So they're like, all right, we're not bringing you into this locker room right now where it's chaos, whatever. You can go to the Phantoms if you want, and you'll be on the roster next year. And then he ghosted them. How do you ghost John LeClaire and Patrick Sharp? Two very, very nice guys for the Flyers here. But yeah, Cutter, I mean, I guess good on him when the spotlight was off him on a Sunday. 2 goals, including the overtime winner in
against Carolina
here. Yeah, Carolina was the biggest betting favorite of the year. They were minus 500, which I know doesn't mean much to you, but like normally like minus 200 is like a big favorite. Minus 300 is huge. Like minus 500 is incredible there. It's like 90% implied probability.
I looked on Money Puck because I checked Money Puck for starting goalies, and it was like 81.1% to 19.9%. Yeah. Like it was just an out that didn't add up to 100, but you know what I mean. Yeah. it was just a lopsided matchup, and the Ducks, they must have had some rage to work out and took it out on Dr. T's team.
Yeah, minus 500 implies 83% chance of winning there. So yeah, Ducks didn't really have a chance, especially on a back-to-back. Canes were rested. But I want to shout out
good too.
Canes are really good. JBPHY is a big on Blue Sky there. He's big in the Broad Street Hockey Discord. Get in there if you're not already. I don't think we had it public last time we recorded the podcast. So make sure you get in there. A lot of good conversation going on in there. He skeeted out Cutter Gauthier's stats in big games. So this Saturday, no points. First game against Philly, no points. First 5 NHL games, no points. College hockey championship final, in which he said they're going to be crying on the other side. Tears. No points. And then the World Juniors final, which, you know, he had a great tournament. They won gold, 0 points in the final game. So he comes up small. So perfect for him to be out there in Anaheim. You can enjoy the weather, enjoy playing at 10:30 Eastern time when no one can watch them, and, you know, enjoy whatever that type of rebuild is. Because even looking at the Ducks team, like, yeah, they get some good wins here and there, but we saw there on Saturday night, sure, Carlson's a decent player. McTavish can be good, but it's rough out there.
Imagine McTavish in a Flyers uniform.
Please, that'd be beautiful. That'd be beautiful.
He looks like a Flyer too. McTavish, what a he'd fit right in.
Also, the jersey matchup on Saturday night,
Oh.
the Ducks in those orange are just awful, and like the Flyers
Garbage.
shouldn't have to switch to their blacks, but I guess that would have been the only other option since the Ducks don't really have an alternate. But
The
it just showed
eggplant.
it just showed how much better the Flyers orange is. That's all that was there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the Ducks should be playing in their eggplant colored
Yeah,
uniforms. That purple is excellent. It's
yeah,
a super underutilized color in many NHL or any sport uniform. I love like the teal of the Sharks uniforms and the Kraken as well. Like those are really good color schemes. Ducks should embrace that blue purple West Coast vibe, you know?
yeah. I have a Mighty Ducks hat around here somewhere. And at the game, my wife was like, "Don't you have a Ducks hat?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a Mighty Ducks hat, though. It's okay. It's fine. It's not this. It's not. I'm not supporting this clown here."
Give us the purple. Did I tell you I watched the Mighty Ducks for the first time last summer?
All of them?
No, just the first one.
Just the first one. All right. Well,
I'd never seen it before.
Maybe we'll do like a movie watch along over the summer or something. We can get JPO involved. Steve, those guys love movies, so maybe we'll get something going.
Sure, I'm in. I'm game. All right.
Yeah.
Is that enough? Should we cut it with Cutter?
Oh, cut it with Cutter, but I do want to touch more on the game. Sam Ersson shutout. I mean, he wasn't challenged too much, but good for him to get back. 22 saves on 22 shots to get his save percentage.
Second game back from injury.
Second game back, and didn't look awful against the Stars. We didn't really get a chance to talk about that game, but Jamie Drysdale, very soft. He admitted he was soft, so good to see him bounce back on Saturday. Just some bad bounces for the Flyers against the Stars there. So yeah, save percentage up to 888 now. Hopefully that can improve a bit for Ersson. Ule Lixell looked pretty good there on a line with Gauthier and Michkov, I believe, is that new line because they have the he was fine.
His numbers were not great.
No. They got the fourth line back together, Laughton, Paling, Hathaway. I like that. And then they got Frost, Tippett, and Konechny. Frost got a goal off his skate, which of course is very Morgan Frost like. So that was good there on Saturday night. One thing Tortorella said about Thursday night that he wishes he'd called a timeout after that second goal in the first period, but he wanted to just call a timeout to calm the guys down, and didn't want to do that because the arena would be blasting music and he'd have to yell so they'd hear him. So like he was kind of like going against the production team there. But no, I thought he was going to say like you can't challenge them, but I forgot now challenge is just a penalty, not losing your timeout. But they weren't gonna beat the Stars anyway. Stars were rolling and one of the best teams in the league.
It was a revenge game after the Flyers embarrassed them last season.
Yes, it was.
I just pulled up Ule Lixell's numbers from the Anaheim game: 46.15 Corsi for percentage and a 26.06 expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5. Not great.
Watch the game, nerd. Okay, watch the game.
That was one of the games I have paid the most attention to this season. I was like, oh, it was fun. We need more games like that, man. Like, I can't wait for this team to be relevant again.
That's going to be a game where you're like, it's like over the summer, you're like, oh, I missed the Flyers. Let me go back and watch that one.
It's hilarious that these two mediocre rebuilding clubs suddenly became must-watch television. Also, I would just like to say, for all those haters who were like, "Oh, it's 2 points we didn't need in the standings. Now we're gonna." Guess what? Because the Ducks beat the Canes, they leapfrogged the Flyers in the draft order. So the Flyers are back at 6th worst in the league, and Anaheim is at 7th worst. So it all worked out.
It's all going to even out. The Flyers are going to be between 8th and 12th again, probably. But we'll see what happens after this. The Flyers, big test on here Monday night against the Panthers, then go into Columbus, who have been an amazing team at home in the playoffs right now, in a playoff spot. They've been surprising a ton of people. I mean, they got a busy stretch coming up. They got 4 and 6, then 2 days off, 3 and 4, 2 days off, 3 and 4, 2 days off, and then 4 and 7. That's 14 games in 27 days until the Four Nations break for them. All but 2 against Eastern Conference teams, all against some pretty good teams. I mean, Florida's reigning Cup champions. At Columbus, at the Islanders, they're struggling, but that's always a tough game. At the Devils, Like it's tough here.
That Islanders game, both teams are going to do their best to win that game 0-0. It's going to be
like it was last year. That I went up to that game with a group of some Islanders fans and family. It's like it was that was a shutout game where I think Tyson Forster scored the only goal in the shootout to get a 1-0 win.
It was also the game that PHLY had like a watch party at a bar for. And I went to that, and it was just like, boy, this sure is a Flyers Islanders hockey game. Oh, I hate the Islanders so much, man. So much. I just, God. Actually, I don't mind the Capitals anymore. I was watching them the other day, and I'm like, oh, they're kind of fun.
Yeah, I enjoy how much you hate the Islanders. The Capitals are probably my least hated team besides Columbus. Columbus is just whatever. But it's like, Pittsburgh, Rangers, Devils, Islanders, like Capitals are fine, I guess. Like there's not much there to hate. Even like the 2016 playoff series where Gauthier got hurt and Mason was not great or allowed that long goal. Like you couldn't hate them after that. So, but big news today in the world of Philadelphia Stadium news here. There's apparently going to be a new arena in South Philadelphia. The Sixers' plans for their arena on Market East fell through. So a new joint arena with the Flyers and Sixers expected to be in South Philly in 2031. Also going to try to have a WNBA team with that. Hopefully a PWHL team.
Hopefully.
We're talking before, not sure if it's going to replace the FARG or they're going to have two. Also not really sure where it's going to be because like they normally just like Veteran Stadium was right across from where the bank is now. The Spectrum's right where Xfinity Live was. So like maybe they'll just put it in one of those parking lots and like keep rotating it around because I don't know of a ton of other land available in South Philly.
Yeah, I mean, just one of the parking lots. Why not? I saw there were plans to put in a parking garage or like a multi-level parking scheme. Thank God. Like, aren't they like planning to develop that whole area with like apartments and shopping centers and stuff and not just be like empty parking lots for 3/4 of the year?
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, we'll see if that ever comes to fruition. I imagine that maybe we'll be closer to the casino and trying to have stuff around there, but who knows? I think it's a whole issue with like zoning down there and whatnot. They have to get permission and stuff there.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. I'm just living to see all of these city councilors being like, I feel so used by the billionaires. And I'm like, duh.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they do.
That's what billionaires do. That's
what they do.
But Joe, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How many playoff rounds will the Flyers win before this new stadium's built?
Ooh, before 2031?
Yeah.
Oh,
more or less than like 3.
How many playoff rounds? I love your gambling podcast. Over under is set at 3. Boy. I'm gonna say I'm the optimist. I'm gonna say over.
It's probably gonna be right around 3, like because they're gonna make the playoffs the first time and lose in the first round. Then, hopefully they get this trajectory where they lose the first round, win 1, and then can win like 2 or like something going on. But let me look at the Flyers list of seasons because the last playoff round they won was 2012 against the Penguins. That was a first round exit. They won, I think, 1 round this season before that against the Sabres before getting swept. So they've won 2 rounds since. I forgot about the Canadians round in the bubble there. So they've won 3 rounds since making the Stanley Cup final. So 3 rounds in the next 6 years would be amazing.
What if they just win 3 in one go? They just make a run to the final and lose.
Why not win 4 in one go? Let's win 4 in one
go. Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm not riding that high.
Yeah. Have you thought any more about the whole John Gibson thing?
After that game? Hell no.
No. Not after that game. After having 2 days to sit on the conversation that we had with Steve and Quiggs and Thomas about it.
I still say no.
Yeah, it probably doesn't make sense. It also helps that Urson had a shutout. So as long as Urson's healthy, I feel like Gibson Urson could be a great tandem, but that's not where the Flyers are right now. Like if the Flyers in a year or two and Gibson was still this age, maybe, but in a year or two, who knows how good Gibson's still going to be and all that.
So the Athletic this morning, I think, released an article. It was the 2024-25 NHL goalie tiers. Anonymous panel of coaches and goalies rate all 32 starters. Guess who was the last place goalie?
Well, the Flyers were last, but also in that they said, like, they asked scouts and people about Fedotov as a starter, not about Urson. Like,
right?
Who did this poll? Do you have it up in front of you?
I do. Like, who did they ask?
Yeah, like who wrote the article?
Oh, it was Jesse Granger.
Okay, all right. Yeah, he's not really. I think he's Vegas, maybe, or used to be Vegas, and maybe he's in Canada somewhere now. But
wasn't he a goalie? Like, isn't that his thing? He was a goalie at some point, not professionally. But
his profile picture is a goalie. Cover goalies in the Golden Knights for the Athletic. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. In the Ivan Fedotov blurb, he writes, looking back, we should have pulled more experts on Sam Ersson, who has proven to be Philadelphia's best goalie. We didn't collect a full panel of grades for the 25-year-old, but several coaches said they prefer him as the starter even before the season began. Quote from a goalie coach, Ersson, I do think, is pretty good. He's a structured goalie who gives you consistency. I don't think he'll ever be a goalie who is going to transcend, but he's a tier 4 starter.
Yeah, he's not going to be a starting goalie on a team that wins a playoff round, or probably a team that even makes the playoffs, but he can be a 30-game starter or 40-40 if you want to split it down equally. Like, that's pretty much what he's been the past few years, and hopefully he can stay healthy this year because he's now been on IR 3 times with a groin injury.
Yeah, I say he's probably a 1B at this point. I think his play and potential is like 1A, but the durability concerns make me think he can't handle more than like 40 to 45 games in a season. So he's probably just going to have to be the second in a tandem, which is fine. I still think the league is, at least in the regular season, is trending that direction. But, and then when you get in the playoffs, you just ride whoever's got the hot hand.
Which can be tough. Like, I've seen some complaints / questions about this on social media. Like, what is a 1A? What's a 1B? What's a 2? Mm-hmm. A 1A is the guy you trust more in a tandem. So a 1B is the backup who you don't hate going in there. He's not like a clear number 2. So like Washington is a perfect example right now. Logan Thompson, Charlie Lindgren. They're both 1As, honestly, right now. I mean, Thompson's been a lot better by the numbers, but I trust both of them.
I mean, until yesterday or 2 days ago, it was a even split. Literally every other game, they were alternating between Lindgren, Thompson. Lindgren got injured on Friday, I believe. So Thompson went in relief and then played the next day on the road and played amazing. But I think that might be either the first or second time this season that they went to the same goalie 2 games in a row. And it was only because of an injury that they felt it was necessary. Boston, before they traded Ullmark, also that tandem carried that team for a long time. Vegas
until the playoffs with Boston was the example where it worked in the regular season, but like come playoff time, how much of a leash do you give the guy that you think is slightly better? If he has one bad start, like, do you give the backup a start? But Vegas was perfect example how they had Adin Hill come out of nowhere and to win the cup there.
Also, I mean, Swayman was fantastic last year in the Bruins playoff run. Boston just couldn't score, which is the same problem they have now. Funny how that works out. But I think Swayman did perfectly fine in the playoff as a starter. I think more about Florida when they snuck into the playoffs on the wild card on the back of Alex Lyon going on a heater. And I think they gave Lyon the first 3 games of the series, and I think he got 1 win and 2 losses, and he looked kind of shaky. And then they put Bobrovsky back in, and the rest is history. They make that run to the final and lose to Vegas. So because it's a 7-game series, I think you have a bit more leeway on when to switch things up. And I think it helps too if your team had been swapping goalies for the regular season. If you have a 65-game starter and he has 2 bad games and you put the backup in, think of what that does to the rest of the roster's confidence or the intangibles. That has an impact. I'm sure it does. But if you've been going 50-50 all season and game 3 you switch up your goalies, I don't think the roster is going to have that like, oh, you're pulling them already kind of reaction.
Well, perfect example. Last year in the Western Conference Final, I believe, Stuart Skinner started 57 games in the regular season. Cal Pickard started 20, and they benched Skinner for Pickard, and that completely turned Skinner around. So goalies are like voodoo. It's just
weird.
like it's extremely weird because now Bobrovsky, people are like, oh, definite Hall of Famer. And before this past season, or if the Panthers blew it after going up 3-0, I'm like, oh, he's a bust. Why are you paying him $10 million? That proves why you shouldn't pay for goalies and all that stuff.
Yeah, but if Sam Ersson is just this team's 1B for the next 5-6 years, fine. I'm fine with that. And he can serve in a 1A role when Bjarnason and Zavragin come over and start pushing for games. I'm not fussed about this team's goalie, like goaltending for the future. Yeah, if they need a goalie, they'll get one.
He's 25 right 25. Now, going to be 26 next October. He's under contract, through
1 more year
next season. He's an RFA after that, so they'll give him probably a short 3-year deal, 2-3-year deal there to be the starter until those guys get ready. But bringing this goalie talk back to the Flyers, Friedman also mentioned on Friday that he could see Kolosov getting sent back down just to get into some games. He has not been sent back down yet. There were some pauses there when he wasn't at morning skate on Saturday, but then he came out. They're running that 3 goalie drill and stuff. Like, I just wonder what's going on there because Fedotov's the backup now. That just seems to be what it is, and I guess they don't want to risk losing Fedotov to the AHL, and also they promised him most likely that he'd be on the NHL roster, and they don't want to piss off Kolosov in case Ersson gets hurt. And then you have to go with Fedotov and Cal Peterson or whoever. Yeah, if you send down Kolosov, he's like, all right, I'm leaving, and Ersson gets hurt. You have Fedotov, and then teams can hold you over a bucket, like be like, all right, trade for a goalie.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I think Fedotov was fine in his last 2 starts. They were both against the Leafs, right? Like, the numbers don't look great at the end of the game, but he looked okay. He's what you would want in a number 2, a backup. He gave the team a chance to win, but guess what? The Toronto Maple Leafs have Austin Matthews and William Nylander and Mitch Marner, and the Flyers don't. And that's just sometimes what it boils down to. So I'm fine with him being the number 2 for now. Also, I'm kind of sick of this whole Kolosov drama. Like, dude, if you're going to go home, go home. We've seen now what you can do at the NHL level. You're not ready. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe take a hint.
Yeah. Something with the Flyers goalies numbers that I kind of want to potentially dig into more, and also might just be like an eye test type of thing, because I know the numbers look bad with the goal save above expected and whatnot, but like the Flyers block a lot of shots, and like due to their defensive structure, a lot of shots either miss the net or don't get through. Or Thomas brought this up in the Slack, like sometimes maybe they're screened too much on it. Like, so that could be an issue there. I mean, Fedotov has been the best Flyers goalie at 5-on-5 in terms of the advanced numbers here. It's just he doesn't look as good as you think he could be. He's always out of position multiple times a game. I'll say it again. I'll say it time and time again here. Stay in the crease. If they can convince Fedotov to stay in the crease, go down in the butterfly, even if you don't know where the puck is, just like back up. Like, you're big enough to cover the net.
Yeah. Also, I just saw on Twitter that tonight is Dollar Dog Night for the Panthers game.
Yes.
Shit. I would love to go do that.
Tickets are cheap. Go ahead.
No. I've got better things to do.
Yeah, better things to do than watch the Flyers lose to the Panthers while eating dogs.
It's cold.
It's cat dog night.
Oh. God damn it, that's good.
Yeah. Are you more sick of Alexei Kolosov? Has that reached the level of how sick you have been either right now or previously with the Morgan Frost talk? How do those compare?
Ooh. It's different. I'm sick of Alexei Kolosov as a concept, but I'm sick of Morgan Frost just discussion and talking about it, because like, buddy, the goal you scored wasn't even in a shot attempt. You just kind of stood there, and
He
that's
was in
just
good
how
position. He went to the slot. He, dirty,
okay,
dirty but good, as JJ says.
dirty but good. But he's the skill player. Like a dirty but good goal isn't his thing. I don't know. I'm over it. He's a pending RFA. Like, it's time, man. For Kolosov, I'm just like, dude, you signed a contract through a hissy fit. You kind of leveraged your way into the organization that has prided itself on meritocracy, fell flat on your face, and now won't deal with the consequences of maybe being sent to the AHL. Like, maybe the Flyers are just like hoping someone will trade for him and give like a second round pick, but I don't know, man. He clearly hasn't proven to be worth anything at the NHL level.
I mean, Kolosov plus for Gibson, I guess, would make sense. And the Ducks, give Dostal the net, let Kolosov play one more year in the KHL or whatever, and see what they got. But then the Flyers are giving up on Kolosov, who, with seasoning, could be a part of a tandem. You really never know.
Sure could. Yeah, I just am like, dude, it ain't all about you. Like,
yeah,
we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
No.
Let's be real. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but
we're speculating. This is
sure.
all. But yeah, at least Frost has the right attitude about it. Like last year when he got healthy scratched, he went into Torts and they talked about it, and he had a good stretch after that. Also, he's been amazing against the Ducks. I think he has like a 4 or 5 game point streak against these awful teams.
Well,
he had a great game last year against the Coyotes with that sick goal. Like,
I was gonna say, it's a shame that the Coyotes no longer exist, because that's the only team that Morgan Frost seems to wake up and play against.
Yeah, it just seems like with Frost, like the writing's on the wall. Like you said, he's a pending RFA. The Flyers can't really trade him in season because he's their
only
best center. I mean,
Yeah.
Noah Cates might be their best all-around center, but Morgan Frost is their best offensive center. Despite the fact you might think he's offensive, not offensive. Yeah, the writing seems to be on the wall there with Frost. I also wonder if it's going to get to the point with Farabee where we're kind of sick of the discourse, because like he's always thrown into these trades. 14 points in 42 games. Saturday was his first game ending an Ironman streak. I didn't even realize that was his first game as a healthy scratch, as not playing at all under John Tortorella. I mean, shaved his head. That didn't work. Had a fight. That didn't really work. It's just, it's tough to see. It's tough to see.
I want to ask you about that fight, because his reasoning was, I think Charlie put this really well on the PHLY pod, is that, his reasoning was, the arena was kind of quiet and I needed to get something going, so I dropped the gloves. And the way Charlie put it is, he's thinking like a bottom sixer. That's a bottom sixer's role, and we need Farabee to be a top sixer. My question is this a chicken and the egg scenario? Like, he's been asked to play in the bottom six, so he's adopted the bottom six role because that's the role he's been asked to play. Or did he previously adopt the role of a bottom sixer and has now ended up there because his mentality is that of a bottom sixer? Like, which do you think would have come first? Do you think he's in the bottom six? He's playing like a bottom sixer because that's where he's been assigned? Or is he like, was he assigned there because of his thinking? Do you know what I mean?
I completely understand what you mean. I also completely think it's the former. I think he's like, all right, Torts dropped me down to the bottom six here on the fourth line with Hathaway. Hathaway's been providing energy. Let me go out there and try to provide some energy. And it was great. It was a good fight. I was shocked to see him fight. It got the crowd going. It wasn't the best fight out there, but like, he didn't lose, and that's all you want to see. Like, it's and Hathaway hasn't really fought much at all this season, if at all. I'm trying to think. I know Delaurier's had some. He's hurt. Sealer might have a fight here or there. Eric Johnson had that fight.
Coots had a fight.
Coots had a fight. Yeah.
I think TK had one at one point. The only Hathaway fight that sticks out in my mind is from last year, and he beat the absolute ever-loving shit out of Dylan Cousins. Just demolished him. It was not even close. So Garnet Hathaway does not drop the gloves that often, but you see that when he does, he wins. Like, he's just, he'll take you straight down.
Garrett Hathaway fought against Marcus Foligno back on December 14th
Okay.
in Minnesota. And then he had 7 penalty minutes against the Leafs. He fought Jake McCabe in
Oh yeah.
on January 5th. So yeah, he just fought last week.
Yeah.
So quickly we forget there. Oh yeah, because he wasn't really a fight. He just McCabe lost his balance and crashed down. Unfortunately,
That's right, and he fell on his
Yeah.
head.
Yeah,
That was brutal.
yeah, that's why. Yeah,
Did Sealer
But-
fight this year? I don't think he has. Oh, he might have one.
yeah, I'm not sure. He's been banged up quite a bit. He only has 16 penalty minutes on the year, so I would
Wow.
imagine
Lady
That's-
Bing candidate Nick Sealer.
I would imagine that's 8 minors. No, he Sharks and Blue Jackets. He had 5 minutes of penalties. Barclay Goodrow against the Sharks,
Okay.
and then Matthew Olivier against the Blue Jackets.
Oh,
I do remember,
right.
I remember that one. I remember that being a fight at the very least.
How about them Blue Jackets? How about them? How about the Beach?
Yeah, but
I'm
Yeah.
happy for them. I hope they get to the playoffs. It would be a very nice, like, bit of on a shitty year. It'd be a nice thing to have for them.
yeah, but going back to Farabee, like I don't
Sure.
think he was playing with the bottom six mindset previously. Like looking at his underlying numbers, and I know people don't always like to look at that and the
Nerds.
finishing and whatnot, but like looking at his individual expected goals per 60, his career high prior to the season was 0.83 back in the 2020-2021 season. Last year was 0.72. This year 0.87. Best in his career by
Wow.
far. Shooting percentage 5.48. These are all at 5-on-5 numbers.
Right.
A natural stat trick. Prior seasons 12, 13, 17, 17 was his shooting percentage. Like that he wasn't scoring on the top line, but him, Gauthier, and Konechny, they were generating chances, and it felt like it was only a matter of time. I would like to see them back together, but Tippett and Konechny do have some good chemistry now,
I love it.
and I don't necessarily want to see Tippett back with Michkov, so I guess that leaves the lines as they are. But yeah,
Unless you break up the Kate's line.
I don't think
I
they're breaking
wouldn't.
it up yet. No,
Not yet.
not yet. If they haven't even had a bad game, I don't think.
What? How were they against the Ducks?
I don't. I hardly looked at the advanced numbers.
I
for
don't
that
think
one, but-
anyone on that line scored against Anaheim. So
No, they didn't. No,
maybe they were
but
bad.
it's not all about goals.
Yeah.
It's not all about goals, but yeah, looking at how the lines are, Lixell, Couturier, Michkov, like Lixell can provide some energy. Michkov can hopefully be, a little bit rejuvenated after last game, but at least they had the fourth line back together. It's just about finding the mixing and matching, finding the right pieces out there.
And we've said it before. The Flyers don't have ranked hierarchy first, second, third, fourth line. They just kind of have a fourth line and then 3 lines that play hockey at varying intervals of the game. Like they don't have that. They don't have like a Nathan McKinnon line that plays 22 minutes a night or whatever.
I do wonder what the matchups Torts goes for against the Panthers will be. By the time you guys are listening, you'll know, and you know what
Mhm.
happened. But looking at the numbers from last game, the Kate's line in 10 minutes together, scoring chances were 9-2, shot attempts 13-6. So they generated chances, just didn't get any finish there.
Who's playing with Coots today? It's Michkov and Lixell, right? So I don't know. Do you put? I think that's the Barkov matchup probably, and then the
I think you
Cates
put
line.
Cates against Barkov.
You want Cates against Barkov? Well, then who the hell's going to
You want
handle
Michkov against
Tkachuk?
Barkov?
You want Michkov against Matt Tkachuk?
No, you want Konechny against Tkachuk.
So you'd put the Frost, Konechny, Tippett line against Sam Bennett, Matt Tkachuk, and Carter Verhaeghe.
I mean, there's no good matchups, Joe. There's no good matchups with one of the worst teams in the league against the Panthers. But
I know.
yeah,
Well,
I think
they've been sliding. They've had some.
They've been alternating wins and losses in their past, I think 6 games or so.
That game against Boston the other day
that was wild. Did you watch the end of that one?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
That was so good. Reinhardt with 1.8 seconds left on the
Yeah.
clock puts that puck in the net to take it to overtime, and then a fluky play gets Boston the win. Damn, dude, that was I love that game.
And the other game was the 7-5 one in Philly, where the Flyers came back to take a lead and then blew it. Was Kolosov in the net for that one? Kolosov may have been in that one. And then the first one was the shootout loss for the Flyers in Florida. Yeah. I think That may have been Fedotov. So, I mean, the Flyers have played the Panthers relatively tough. I mean, it's not worth talking about because the game's in a few hours here, but we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, it's funny because the Flyers beat the Panthers last season too. By proxy, that means they won a Stanley Cup. But
Yes.
for some reason, the Flyers just have the Panthers number. Like the Panthers were rolling last season. Flyers were able to get like 1, maybe 2 wins against them. They've hung with them both times this season. Like, it's funny how such a dominant team just has one mediocre team that's their kryptonite. And for some reason, the Flyers are the kryptonite of the Florida Panthers. Like, it's just, it's wild how that kind of stuff works out.
Yeah, it was Spencer Knight in that 7-5 game. So it is Bob tonight. So that's not as good for the Flyers. But getting back to the trade stuff, I wanted to just talk about there's some trade board stuff out there last week, coming into this week. Rasmus looking at TSN, The Athletic, and Daily Faceoff. Rasmus Ristolainen is the only player on all three. Scott Laughton is on TSN and The Athletic. And then Daily Faceoff also has Farabee and Frost, but no Laughton there. So who do we think is the most likely to get moved? It has to be Risto, right?
My money's on Risto.
Do you think it's better than 50-50 that he gets moved?
It depends how his formations go.
Yeah, and there's not many right-handed D-mans out there. I know David Savard is a guy. I know Provorov's left-handed. He can play both sides. Who's
funny
UFA now?
Provorov plays both sides now. That's hilarious. Because he was so immovable on the left side of the Flyers defense core.
Maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
He does. He does play the right side in Columbus sometimes. So
he's listed there right now.
Considering his personal views, the fact that he bats for both sides is a little.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. Curious. Peculiar. Anyway, no, I think there is a market for Risto, but as we've talked about before, the Flyers are not compelled to move him. He has 2 years left on his contract. Like, if they have a price in mind, might as well hold out. And Friedman, I think today was like, he talked about how he mentioned that the Flyers were holding fast for a first for Laughton and that wouldn't come through. And apparently there was a lot of pushback from many sources like, yo, he held out for a first for Sean Walker and he got it. So don't put it past Briere and the Flyers to just hold out until someone offers what they're asking for. So it's different this time. Like, Walker had to be moved. He was walking in the summer. Also take a shot because we had the Sean Walker watch last year.
Yes.
We'll have Risto watch this year. But Risto, because he has term on his contract and the cap looks like it's going to go up a lot, why not just wait? If they can't make it work now, hold off till the summer and do it then. Maybe Risto gets traded at the draft again. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be something. I think it's better than 50-50. He gets moved. Probably 60% I'd be at right now.
By the deadline or by next season?
By the deadline.
Okay.
I think by next season, I think it's probably closer to
90?
75, 80%. Yeah, just 90. Like I think Dallas could be a destination for them. They traded for Tanev last year. He's going to be playing with Heiskanen and Lindell for Team Finland at Four Nations.
My only concern with Dallas, Jim Nill does not give up assets for rentals like that.
Yeah.
So
I think the Flyers would be able to get a young roster player from the Stars.
Wyatt Johnston?
I mean, I fucking hope Wyatt. They're not going to Wyatt Johnston, but like, I'm not sure who else they have. Maverick Bourque. I'm not sure what he would be worth, but yeah, they have a bunch of young players. Like, if they're going for it this year, this is their last year with Jamie Benn. Matt Duchene's on his last year of his deal as well. So, they could try to get Jamie Benn a cup if they feel like they can really go for it. But what would extremely piss off Flyers fans is if they trade Risto to Vancouver in a 3-team trade and someone else gets Pettersson.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, that's beautiful. So what do the Flyers get?
I mean, maybe Pettersson goes to like Minnesota and they get Rossi, or Pettersson goes to Buffalo and they get Cousins, or Anaheim and they get McTavish, like something like that.
Well, maybe not McTavish, but Zegras.
Yeah. I want to see him back on the ice first from his
Same.
torn meniscus or whatever he had. But yeah,
Poor
Risto we think is going to get traded. Scott Laughton, I don't know. I don't know if I ever think he's going to get traded. I know Toronto is the one team that he's been linked to. He's from Toronto. I think that could make sense. That could be the one place he would be willing to go.
I don't think the Flyers are going to move him. It would take a haul.
No. But we have to make content, Joe. Come on, we have to talk about this. I was looking on the Flyers subreddit because they brought up the Scott Laughton thing. Someone was talking about how Toronto has no first round this year, but they have it next year. Also have Easton Cowan, Fraser Minton, and Nick Robertson. Be interesting if they traded for Cowan or Minton somehow. Get
Marquise
Laughton. Yeah, get someone
Easton
up there. Get a center. I think that's the Flyers. The Flyers' main goal by next season is get a center. I don't think they're going to do it in season unless, as Briere has said before, if something crops up, we'll pull the trigger. But it wouldn't make sense for, I don't think, other teams, just because there's so few teams that are truly out of it and might even be fewer at the deadline. Yeah. It's like Chicago, they have no one to trade. Sharks, no one to trade. Preds, or who knows what they're doing. Buffalo's the one team where, they're out of it. Buffalo, Anaheim,
Seattle,
but I'm not sure if they'd move like Shane Wright or Shane Wright or someone like that. And then the Flyers right now, who are down there as well. But yeah, that's more of an offseason move. Farabee, we talked about during the happy hour. His value is way too low. I don't think a team would trade for him. And Frost, we talked about the writing's on the wall.
Well,
but they can't trade him.
As far as Farabee goes, I'm with Torts. I'm not giving up on him. Like, I think there's still
completely agree.
I'm not giving up on him. He's got enough term left. The contract isn't. I mean, with the way he's playing,
it's $5 million. It's not good.
But they have time to figure it out. And by the time they figure it out, his contract won't be that much of a burden because the cap will have gone up. So, like, I'm not trying to rush away from Joel Farabee. I don't know. Plus, he's the only natural left winger in who has top 9 potential. Why? We've said we're not stripping this team to the studs. Trading Farabee for like a second round pick would be a tank.
They wouldn't do that. I think they would move him as a part of a package for a roster player or a center.
Right.
Speaking of packages, I feel like we could see like a Risto and Laughton traded together, a la Orlov and Hathaway to Boston a few years ago.
Oh.
I know they were both free agents back then, and Risto and Laughton both have term, but like Vancouver could be a good spot for them. Get some leadership there with Laughton and get the defenseman they want with Risto, but just just throwing it out there.
I'm not opposed to it. Like, make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Anything else you wanna touch on before we get into our predictions and the Tankathon?
Well, we brought up Vancouver, folks. If Danny Briere doesn't end up with Elias Pettersson, and it's clear that there was no shot that he could have navigated a 3-team trade or even just a 2-team trade, don't rake him over the coals for that shit. Like, sometimes it just doesn't work. Like,
what do these people want the Flyers to do? Like, they're like, oh, pressure's on the Flyers front office to do what?
Get creative.
Like, get creative. It's not a video game where you can just put in a bunch of assets, get the bar up to what it is, and get them to accept. Like, there's so many different things going on. Who knows if they even want Pettersson? Who knows if Pettersson is truly even available, or if they're shopping Miller more? Like, because it doesn't make sense for them to trade Pettersson. Like, it's a rebuild. It is a rebuild. To steal Joe's line here, this is what a rebuild looks like. This is what we're doing. It's the middle of the season. Yeah. There's not much to talk about. We're going to talk about trade stuff for the next 2 months now, and then a few weeks of no trade stuff, and then trade stuff for the whole off season. So plenty of stuff to get with over the summer. But for now, we'll see if Saturday was the Flyers team or if Thursday against the Stars was the Flyers team moving forward. I feel like that's basically what we want to see.
And in a few months, we'll get to start talking my favorite, prospects and draft.
Well,
woo, baby.
I do have one quick question for you.
Yes.
Would you rather have the Flyers draft, ignoring players available, ignoring names in this draft, a 1C or a 1D?
Oh, I think I go center over defense. I know Jonesy said from the get-go, we're going to build this team from the blue line out. They've done a pretty good job of that so far. And in my mind, you can do defense by committee a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also am not sure, because this has come up before, like exactly what comprises a quote-unquote number one defenseman. Is it a guy who plays a lot of minutes? Is it a guy who is a special teams merchant and just okay at 5-on-5? Is it a guy who is an expert penalty killer? Is it one who does all of those things? There's only like 2 defensemen in the league who do all of those things, and it's Cale Makar and Victor Hedman. Like, I love Quinn Hughes.
I don't even know if Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes play on the penalty kill. Like Victor Hedman is like the 1D you want to point to.
Exactly. But guess what? He's the future Hall of Famer. Those don't just like crop up. I see teams win by doing it by committee a lot more. Vegas, I know Pietrangelo in his prime was your quintessential number one defenseman. Who ran that power play? Shea Theodore. Who runs the second unit now? Noah Hannafin. Like, that's just kind of, who's the number one defenseman that you can point to and say that guy is the number one? On Florida last year, Aaron Ekblad is a first overall pick, but Brendan Montour ran the power play. You know, Gustav Forsling is an incredible defenseman. He's not very offensively oriented, but he's a top pair guy because he's so good at defense. But when you point to a cup winning team, who is the Vegas number one center? Eichel. Who is the number one center for Florida? Barkov. The Penguins, Crosby. Tampa Bay, Braden Point, or Stamkos, depending on how they slotted their line. But
you need a 1C to win a cup, and you have to draft.
That's the goal.
Like the article I did in August, it's like the large majority of 1Cs in this league were drafted. Only ones that were traded were Jack Eichel, JT Miller, if you want to call him a 1C.
Ryan O'Reilly.
Ryan O'Reilly, he's not a 1C though. Like, that's what it is. And I had Vegas's page pulled up already, and seeing the Flyers play against them, they have 6 big defensemen that could be the 1D on other teams. Pietrangelo, Shea Theodore, Noah Hannafin, Braden McNabb, Zach Whitecloud, Nick Hague. Like, they're big defensemen, and that's what you need.
And not only that, they are quality. All of them are maybe not Hague and Whitecloud as
no, that's a third pair. That's a third pair.
That's a third pair, but both of them are a number 5. Like, they're both quality third pair defensemen. And then the rest of the guys are all quality top 4 guys. You know, there's a lot more of by committee ability on the blue line, but you can't center your way by committee. Like, it doesn't work. So I'd pick 1C in the draft. How about you?
I'm fully on board with a 1C.
Center.
Like, you can go out and get a defenseman in free agency. You can't go out and get a 1C. You can, and as we pointed out, you can win with depth on the blue line. You can't win as easily without a 1C.
Yep. And I mean, unless the defenseman is Victor Hedman caliber in the draft, like, I pick a center every day.
Yeah. Right. All right.
Predictions
for this week. We have Monday tonight against the Panthers, Tuesday at Columbus, Thursday at the Islanders. That's a 7:30 start. And then Saturday at the Devils. I believe that's a 12:30 start. No, that's a daytime game there.
Right. Tonight, I don't know if the vibes carry. I think Florida gets the win 4-2.
That's pretty much what I was going to go for. I'll go 4-3 in overtime. Let's get a point out of the Flyers against the reigning Stanley Cup champions. 4-3 shootout, actually, because if it's overtime, Flyers have been good in overtime. So 4-3 in a shootout in the skills competition.
He's not the most impactful player, but Aaron Ekblad is not playing tonight, so
saw that. Yes,
maybe that makes a difference. Okay,
can't hurt. And then Tuesday night in Columbus, have to think it's Fedotov gets the start there. I think that's like a 5-4 shootout loss.
Yeah, I think they lose that one. I don't
Yeah.
think it'll even go to a shootout. I think 6-4 regulation.
6-4 regulation. Yeah, that's probably around there. At the Island.
Columbus's top line. I mean, Moynihan is out, but
Yeah.
Voronkov, Marchenko, and Chinikov have been pretty good. Oh, and Kent Johnson, they've been pretty good.
Yeah. Columbus has scored 6 or more goals in 10 of their 43 games. So they're, especially at home, they always high scoring at home. Thursday at the Islanders, 1-0 shootout win, maybe.
I think that one's going to be 0-0. No, nobody wins that game, man.
That game's going to still be going on next time we podcast. It's going to be in the 100th round of the shootout. Everyone's going to be dripping sweat.
God damn it, you're right. It's so annoying. I think, or it's just going to surprise us and be a 5-4 overtime win because
it could be.
Why not?
Yeah.
Because Sorokin has looked a little shaky. I don't know if Varlamov is still playing or if he's injured. So who knows?
Yeah. And Saturday at the Devils. What do you got?
I think they lose. I think the Devils get this one 5-2.
That's the exact score in my head. I was gonna say 5-3. I was like, I don't know if the Flyers are getting 3 against Markstrom's been insane recently. I don't know if you've seen some of these saves he made against Seattle and stuff, but I mean, he's been incredible ever since like the first few weeks of the season. He's settled in behind his defense, and they're gonna be good. Watch out for them in the playoffs.
They terrify me. One of my best friends is going to that game with her family. She's from New Jersey, but I have converted her into a Flyers fan. So a couple months ago, she got a Flyers hoodie, and she's going to wear that to the game with her entire Devils supporting family. Nice. And she's like, her family are actually like, "Are you really going to wear that?" And I'm just like, "Yes, I love it." Also, the Flyers quarter century team was announced.
All right, who is on that?
First team: Simon Gagne, Claude Giroux, Mike Richards. At defense: Eric Desjardins, Kimmo Timonen. In goal: Roman Cechmanek.
All right.
Second team: forwards: Danny Briere, Sean Couturier, Jacob Voracek. On defense: Chris Pronger, Ivan Provorov. In goal: Brian Boucher.
Boosh.
Also Provorov, get out of here with that, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else. I'm trying to think of any snubs on this team. I got Giroux up there. Who do you put him in over there? No. Gagne was great in the early 2000s there. Defense, yeah, you don't want to see Provorov there, but there's no one really else you could put there. Maybe like a Coburn or a
Sanheim. He's better than Provorov at this point, I would say.
Yeah, I would as well, but I wonder when these teams were voted on and
Ghost
and finalized or whatever.
Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost had a
Phil
good
Myers. Year. Phil Myers played for the Leafs, by the way.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Anyway, I did a lottery sim this morning. It was Pittsburgh #1, Islanders second, and I just wanted to die.
Why would you put those vibes out there, Joe? We got the lottery simulator here up on the YouTube stream. Make sure you subscribe there, subscribe Apple, subscribe Spotify. You know all the good stuff. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple if you have not already. We do appreciate those quite a bit. And let's run the simulator.
Come on, Flyers. Let's go.
I'm getting Chicago, then the Islanders.
Oh, the Islanders.
Flyers down 1 spot to 7 because the Islanders moved up 6. So
moved up to 2. Fuck the Islanders, man. I loathe this team.
The Islanders don't deserve high draft picks because they just ruin any talented player they get.
They would pick whatever this draft's version of Scott Laughton would be. Crazy.
I'm trying to look up the current mock draft. I'm not sure where the best way to look. Oh, mock draft right here on tankathon.com.
There you go.
Porter Martone, James Higgins, Matthew Schaefer, Michael Misa, Roger McQueen, and then they had the Flyers getting Anton Frundell, a Swedish center there.
Swedish center, yeah. He kind of underwhelmed, I think, at World Juniors, but I'd still be game. Look at number 8.
Number 8, Caleb Desnoyers. I feel like the Flyers would go with Desnoyers before they went with a Swedish center.
I
Kind of
mean,
similar to Jet versus Const Hellenius last year.
Hellenius was
Yeah.
Finnish. Yeah. What else I hope it's Misa. I mean, Misa might not be a center, but still, like, he could be real good.
Yeah.
He could be real good.
There's plenty of good names on there. I mean, I haven't dug in yet. I know you may have, but like, yeah, this should be another exciting draft year. They also have the Flyers getting Kashawn Atchison, a left
yes.
defenseman from Barrie with the
Hell yeah.
Avs pick at 21. I feel like that pick's going to be later though.
No, Kashawn Atchison is like Nick Seeler, but better. Like a second pair Nick Seeler.
That's not a ringing endorsement, Joe.
At 21, are you kidding me? He would be that kid is born to be a Flyer.
And they have the Flyers getting William Moore from the U.S. development program, committed to BC, with the Oilers pick.
He might
be. Both of those picks are getting later because the Avs and Oilers are going to make deep runs.
I don't know about that.
Mackenzie Blackwood is amazing in Colorado.
They signed him to a 5-year deal, so he better be.
Yeah.
I wonder if William Moore is related to Oliver Moore from the 2023 draft.
Let's see if their page has anything about him. Let me check his elite prospects page here, because normally they have
siblings or family relations. Yeah.
William Moore, 2007 draft.
2023.
Born in 2007. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man. Yeah. April.
I don't see any family on the elite prospects.
Okay, different more. Yeah. Different more.
All right, and no more from us here on this show. Make sure you follow Broad Street Hockey on all the accounts. Make sure you read Broad Street Hockey, subscribe, all that good stuff. Get in the Discord. Joe, where can people find you?
You can find me at jfdemarini.bsky.social. It is the same username at Twitter. I am not on there except when Blue Sky crashed during the Ducks game. So I was on Twitter for a bit then, but other than that, I am pretty much exclusively on Blue Sky. How about you, Gilbs?
You can follow me on at our Ryan Gilbert.bluesky.social on Blue Sky, or at rgilbertsop on the Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Until next time. Thanks for listening.
Go Flyers.